Ubisoft's situation is looking worse and worse. Oh, sure, you've heard this before. But this week's news is setting new standards of terrible even for Ubisoft, and yet they insist they are still working on Beyond Good and Evil 2, a game the company announced 18 years ago. Welcome to Inside Games, the Roundup with me and Lawrence in the same room.
That's right, Bruce came all the way over to my house so that we could reminisce about Beyond Good and Evil 2. Man, what a journey it's been. And I think we've been in games media about as long as that game's been kicking around. But hey, at least Ubisoft isn't alone in their struggles this week. Payday 3 developer Starbreeze Studios also tossed some employees out onto the street, though the company has yet to make an official announcement on that matter. And in more personal drama, a VR modder had their Patreon suspended after DMCA claims from both the developers of Cyberpunk 2077 and Ghost Runner.
All right, but in more hopeful news, BioWare seems to be staffing up for Mass Effect 5. Well, yay. And we'll get a little more info about the Mario Brothers movie sequel real soon. So let's get into the news by throwing to the one inside game staffer that always brings us hope during these trying times, Brian Garr.
That's right, boys. Ubisoft not doing great, but I think we'll still have Just Dance 2027, so hang in there. But yeah, Ubisoft stock not doing great. It slid 33% on Thursday. That was a day after the company unveiled what it called a major company reset, and investors clearly not impressed. Shares fell from $6.64, that's in euros, at Wednesday's close to €4.36 whatever euro cents. That's the lowest price the company has seen in more than 14 years.
Guys, it's time to buy the dip.
That's right. Get in now before Beyond Good and Evil 2 comes out.
I don't know about that one. The reset, which has been in the works for about a year, includes a sweeping reorganization that splits Ubisoft's creative operations into 5 separate divisions or creative houses, alongside some painful cuts they've been doing for a very long time.
It reminds me in cartoons when like people get into a fight and it's just a big dust cloud with like fists and legs. It's that equivalent, but for corporate restructuring. So it's so much noise you can't even tell what's going on. But what is very apparent is that Ubisoft has canceled a whole raft of games, 6 in total, including the long-delayed Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time remake. How can they not even finish a remake of a game that old? Holy cow.
Yeah, they also delayed 7 others and closed 2 studios, so this is massive as part of a broader effort to reclaim its creative leadership after years of disappointing releases and a steady collapsing share price that, recently led to a minority sale to Tencent, so you know that's not good.
Yeah, good news though, Beyond Good and Evil 2 has survived the reorg. I'm shocked, actually. A Ubisoft spokesperson told Eurogamer that the fantasy genre is underserved, and so therefore, Ubisoft has a unique proposition with its Beyond Good and Evil sequel that was announced 15 years ago?
18 years ago.
18 years ago. There you go.
Almost 2 decades.
All right, there we go.
You know what's also an interesting fantasy concept? A dagger that rewinds time. I don't know. Jesus Christ. And that game already exists. I can't believe it. I can't fucking believe it. Still, Ubisoft's financial picture remains bad. Yeah, Ubisoft said it expects an operating loss of around 1 billion euros. How do they... for the financial year ending March 2026, driven in part by a 650 million euro write-down tied to the restructuring. Again, that dust cloud with all the fists coming up. Yep. And plans to cut an additional 200 million in fixed costs over the next 2 years.
Yeah, the company declined to say how many jobs could be affected, though CFO Frederic Gouget said, there are some people who will be refocused on other big projects, and some may have to leave the company.
Wow, I'm surprised we actually had him there in the room with you, Brian. Nicely done.
Smoking a croissant in both hands.
Here's a crazy fact. Ubisoft stock peaked at 107.90 euros in July of 2018. Ubisoft has now lost roughly 96% of its value since then. That is terrible. I'm shocked they're still in business.
Overvalued, man. You really get a picture of a company that just got really comfortable not doing a lot and feeling like everything they did would turn to gold. It's tragic because they used to be such a hungry, progressive developer in the basically the Sands of Time era, all the way up until kind of the mid 2000s or the mid 2010s. So tragic to see them go this way. And as what really gets me, sorry, I'm getting on a tear here. They say this is a whole restructuring, but what we haven't heard is any like proper strategic direction for the company aside from we're just going to focus on the shit that makes the most money. And that's what they've been doing, but also patting themselves on the back the whole time, and the other kind of padding out their budgets for everything that they didn't really intend on releasing anyway. So I don't know. I don't see any hope here, aside from them just cranking out more boilerplate Assassin's Creeds.
And it's not going to be, I mean, like, they really need something innovative, which is back when, like you said, when they were the best, is when probably they maybe peaked Assassin's Creed 2 around that time, maybe the Far Cry 2 or 3, something like that. But it's really sad. And I would like to see them. I've been saying for a very long time that Star Wars Outlaws is a good game and that Avatar is a good game and Massive is part of Ubisoft. Mm-hmm. And I hope that they escape because they were making really good games for Ubisoft, and it's just really sad to see.
They're on Division 3, so there's hope for that, I suppose.
Sure. Yeah, I think the director just left, though. I'm pretty sure that just happened.
Yeah, get this, folks. Post-apocalyptic, dudes with guns in a dystopian setting. I don't know if that's going to pop anymore, but first one was cool, I guess.
They have made good stuff, though. Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown, a couple of years ago, was a great AAA Metroidvania. So good. Yeah, it's a bummer. It's a bummer of a story.
Thank you for bringing that up. They have tried. Mirage was a kind of an interesting sort of back to basics, more like back to origins kind of Assassin's Creed game, but that's a good point. They did try, and the market just wasn't there for it.
We've been saying for a long time on the show that Ubisoft's developers have been working very hard, but I think the executives have clearly been taking very large paychecks and then firing a bunch of people and not reorganizing the company correctly, not doing their job as executives. And so maybe they're the ones that should be fired.
All right, let's move on and talk about the high-profile VR modder, Luke Ross. He has temporarily paused his Patreon after being hit with a second DMCA takedown this month, this time tied to a VR conversion of Ghost Runner.
A second DMCA has hit the Patreon, huh? Yeah. Damn. Yeah, this move follows last week's takedown of Ross's widely praised Cyberpunk 2077 VR mod, which is pretty cool, which CD Projekt Red pulled after telling the modder that the creator would need to make it free. Now a new DMCA from publisher 505 Games has put Ross's paywalled Patreon on ice, cutting off access to more than 40 VR mods and detailed documentation, quote, until the legal situation clears out, end quote. That's what Ross told fans, so that might take a while.
Yeah. In an email to subscribers, Ross pushed back on the idea that simply making the mods free would solve the problem, arguing that DMCA laws give infinite power to big companies while leaving creators with costly legal hurdles. I mean, he's not wrong, but also if he'd made it free initially, there would be no DMCA takedown.
Yeah, Ross also disputed CD Projekt Red's claim that optional donations are acceptable for mods, saying full VR conversions are far beyond what, quote, reasonable donations could realistically support.
That may also be true, but you're walking a fine line when you start demanding money based entirely off other people's creative properties, yeah. Despite all this uncertainty, Ross did strike a hopeful tone, telling fans they'll, quote, find a way together, if possible, and reassuring them that any mods already downloaded will continue to work indefinitely, barring any game-breaking updates to those games.
In the meantime, Ross has released a VR mod for Baldur's Gate 3. Even as questions continue to swirl around how DMCA rules apply to their custom-built real VR software, which plugs into dozens of games rather than modifying any single one directly.
That's a bit of I get it, but it's a bit of a shame. The VR community could use a little more vibrance and community support and things like that. Sounds like these are all professional grade mods that work really well and have a lot of fans. So yeah, I guess ideally, Ross would be an official contractor working with these companies that would pay him to put these mods out. And if it's just him or just a small team, surely the sticker price can't be too high on that sort of thing. So yeah, it's tragic, but also, man, when you start attaching yourself to other people's brands, you're playing with fire.
Now, there's a lot of interesting things about this story, and I want to say that this sounds stupid, but when Ross was deciding to make the mod, long before he ever started work on it, that's when he has to be like, okay, I have to make this for free. Like, he doesn't have a choice. And you can see that with the Fallout London mods and with Skyblivion. Those things, like, those mods are free. And it's the same with that huge Star Wars mod for Starfield that I just played. Those are all free, and those took hundreds of people, so many man hours of work, and they know that it has to be free. They can't charge for it. So this is one of those things that if I had been next to Ross at the beginning when he was like, I'll make a VR mod, I was like, okay, either write CD Projekt Red and ask them, or resign yourself to the fact that it's going to be free.
I do agree, but somebody needs to hire that guy. Yeah. All right, let's talk about BioWare. They're quietly rebuilding their team as development on Mass Effect 5 continues, with the studio now hiring for a new senior production director role. The position will report directly to project lead and longtime franchise veteran Mike Gamble, who confirmed the hire on social media.
You know, this move comes after BioWare's downsizing following Dragon Age The Veilguard, which failed to meet EA's sales expectations and became the studio's final focus before support ended. Although Mass Effect 5 was announced back in 2020, it remained in pre-production for years while the studio worked on Veilguard.
With that game now released, Mass Effect 5 is BioWare's sole focus, led by veterans from the original trilogy. There's still no release window for the game, but the new hire is a small sign that development is starting to ramp up for Mass Effect 5.
I hope they get some of that old spark back. It's got to be campy. Stop taking it so serious. That was the magic of Mass Effect 1, is that it was a big, goofy, campy 70s sci-fi throwback. But then it got too high on its own supply. It was like, oh, people like this, so now it's a thing, and now we have to treat it seriously. No, it's dumb as shit.
It was dumb as shit.
All right, now onto some bad news. Layoffs have hit Starbreeze Studios. That's the developer behind Payday 3, adding another rough chapter to the studio's post-launch struggles. Multiple employees confirmed the cuts on LinkedIn this week, but Starbreeze itself has not made an official announcement.
QA Alexander Paraswetov-Morath said he was affected after more than 7 years at the company, calling it the longest I've ever been at any company in any industry. Senior tech producer Sabina Joknik also said her role had been identified as at risk of redundancy following those layoffs.
God, that quip about 7 years being the longest tenure you have anywhere in the games industry stings. It's not a good spot. Payday 3 has had a rocky road since its 2023 release, with a launch so poorly received that Starbreeze ultimately fired CEO Tobias Zjongren.
This is a real smorgasbord of Nordic names in this story. In late 2024, this company said it would invest, quote, significantly less in the game's second year of content, though updates have continued, including a January 13th release that added a new shopping spree heist and balance changes. Starbreeze has not yet commented on the layoffs.
I'm actually surprised that they didn't lay off people earlier. Starbreeze had such a terrible launch for Payday 3. And I thought for sure after firing the CEO that they'd have to do a bunch of layoffs. So I guess that's good that they were able to squeeze a couple more years out of that game. But that really has not hooked. Payday 3 has not found the success that Payday 2 had. And it's a real bummer for Starbreeze.
Yeah, how do you even make a sequel to a games as service game? It's got to be different enough to justify being an entirely separate game. It's got to be different enough that you're not basically cannibalizing your own players. So, yeah, it was just another one as far as I can tell. I'm not a huge Payday guy, but I played it a little bit, had enough fun with it, but yeah. And you just can't fight the feeling that it could have been another update for Payday 2 or something like that.
And finally, Nintendo has announced a direct this Sunday that's focused on the Super Mario Galaxy movie. The live stream's going to air at 9 a.m. Eastern. That's here in the US, and share new details on the sequel from Illumination.
Brian, did you put this story in here because you and your kids are going to go watch this movie? Is that why?
Oh, we definitely will. Yes.
Because the film sends Mario, Chris Pratt, and friends into space, inspired by the Super Mario Galaxy. Everybody already knows this stuff. Rosalina will be there, voiced by Brie Larson, Bowser Jr., Benny Safdie, and then I think Jack Black, well, I'm sure will be back. Of course, we got to have Jack Black back.
He's going to do another song, yeah.
And Chris Pratt also hinted more characters are still to be revealed. What other Super Mario Galaxy? Maybe the Squid?
Oh, yeah, I guess there's a Squid.
Bullet Bill? Was he in the first one? I don't remember.
Great. Super Mario Galaxy movie, April 3rd. In the US and other markets. Japanese release, April 24th. So look forward to it. I'm going to be there with my Bullet Bill hat, Bullet Bill shirt, Bullet Bill pants.
We're making fun of it. That first one made $1 billion. Yeah. So the second one will probably make $1 billion.
All right, let's do a 5-second review. All right, this is Hearthstone. Probably the game I've played the most in my life ever.
Come on, Brian.
I looked up for this review how many games I've played. It wouldn't tell me, but I have over 20,000 wins in Hearthstone. 20,000.
I'm really excited for the 5-second review of Counter-Strike or something, some game that has been around for 30 years.
I'm gonna review GTA Vice City.
Yeah, Minesweeper.
Yeah, that sounds sick, actually. We need more millennial appeal on this show. All right, now moving on from there, more free games, I guess. Inside Games, as usual, is on your side. We got a lot of catch up to do this week because we missed this bit last week. I was traveling. So sit down and get ready for some free games. Amazon is giving out a raft of games as they usually are. Herald Halibut, Brigador, Up Armored Deluxe, Gunslugs, Rogue Tactics, D&D Stronghold, Kingdom Simulator, and Deathkeep are all free via Amazon Prime. Meanwhile, Epic is giving out Rustler Grand Theft Horse.
Nintendo's giving out the Early Works soundtrack collection for Dynasty Warriors Origins. That's music DLC for the game that adds 191 tracks from the series. That's fun.
Yeah, just kind of weird to see a freebie from Nintendo, even though you do need the game to get it, but it's free. Speaking of free games, all right, Xbox is here. Wow, they're doing a lot of stuff. So, all right, Atoll, the game Atoll, that's the title of the game. That is free on Xbox consoles until February 20th, so all you have to do is, you can even redeem it via the website, but you can get it. This weekend is also free play days for all tiers of Game Pass on Xbox. Sherlock Holmes Chapter 1, South Park Snow Day, This War of Mine Final Cut, and Cult of the Lamb are all free to play until Sunday, January 25th, as long as you have any tier of Game Pass. Just as a reminder, that's what they call Xbox Live now. So everything is Game Pass. As long as you're paying them any money, you can play those for free this weekend.
Oh, wow. New clutch of games are still available via Game Pass. On top of that, Death Stranding Director's Cut, Roadcraft, and Ninja Gaiden Ragebound are all now available. Those are great games. We also didn't do our weekly Game Pass update last week, so here's a catch-up. Star Wars Outlaws, My Little Pony: A Zephyr Heights Mystery, Resident Evil Village, and Mio: Memories in Orbit are also now available. Those are fantastic video games to put on Game Pass.
Yeah, they jacked up the price to absurd levels, but they've been adding hitters every week since the start of the new year. I'm not saying it justifies it. I'm just saying I can tell that something's changed. But on top of that, Sunrise, Sunset, we're getting a lot of games added. Some games are leaving next week, so here's your warning. Shady Part of Me, Starbound, Lonely Mountain Snow Riders, Paw Patrol World, Citizen Sleeper 2 Starboard Vector, and Orcs Must Die Death Trap are all leaving Game Pass on January 31st. So grind them out now or buy them on a discount if you want to keep playing them after that.
Brian, you should tell us about the PlayStation ones.
Oh, boys, we got Resident Evil Village, Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth, Expeditions, a Mud Runner game, A Quiet Place, The Road Ahead, Darkest Dungeon 2, The Exit 8, Art of Rally, and a little bit to the left are all now available via the PlayStation Plus Extra and Premium games catalogs. Meanwhile, PlayStation Plus Premium picks up one catalog game. That would be the original Ridge Racer.
Oh, wow. Okay. Ridge Racer. Games coming up this week. First up, it's Highguard. That's right. This game is coming out. From the creators of Apex Legends and Titanfall comes Highguard, a PvP raid shooter where players will ride, fight, and raid as wardens, arcane gunslingers sent to fight for control of a mythical continent. It was a PS5 and PC January 26th.
Next, we got Earth Must Die. These moronic Terranoids think they can just roll in here and take over my beautiful Tririthrian kingdom. The kingdom that I built from the ground up with my bare hands and only sort of inherited from my dear, sweet, extremely dead father. This is complete bullshit, and I'm going to make them dead. That's a hell of a blurb. I love it. Earth Must Die comes to PC on January 27th.
Rightfully Bury Arms. Don't be fooled by its cuteness. Rightfully Bury Arms is a bullet hell roguelite that will punish and reward you. Augment weapons to create unique weapon builds. Pick rewards as you explore levels. Alter mechanics to your benefit and peril. Fight, die, become stronger, and do it all over again. Comes to the Xbox Series X and S and PC January 27th.
Up next, Cairn. I think that's how I've been trying to figure out. Is it Cairn? Is it reach a summit never climbed before? And this survival climber from the creators of Fury and Haven. Climb anywhere and plan your route carefully, managing pitons and resources to survive unforgiving Mount Kami. Discover what Ava is willing to sacrifice to achieve the ascent of a lifetime. Comes to PS5 and PC on January 29th.
Reminds me of Jusant. I really like that game. Next up, we got a game called I Hate This Place. We got some real expressive games this week. This is a craft-based isometric survival horror game with twisted monsters and warped reality. Scavenge and build to survive terrifying days and nights while using stealth and noise to fight enemies that stalk by sound, all styled with a bold comic art and 80s horror vibe. I Hate This Place comes to PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC on January 29th.
Folklore Hunter. You're a world-renowned hunter of supernatural beasts. Take on contracts and track down urban legends from all over the world. Gather resources, set traps, prepare your equipment, use your hunter instincts, and defeat the beasts before they stop you. Comes to PC January 30th.
Up next is My Tiny Garden. It's a cozy indie game that runs at the bottom of your screen. Plant cute plants, water, fertilize, and prune them. Earn coins to unlock new pots, plants, and stands, and decorate your desktop, and relax while working, studying, or browsing. Comes to PC January 30th.
Kind of into that. I think I'm going to do some plant stuff in the new year. My poor snake plant back here is looking a little wilted, so I'm going to try to revive him. I've also got a Monstera back there that's looking extra sad. So I think they need a little sun. Anyway. Next up, speaking of a game that's not allowed to get any sun, Code Vein 2. An epic adventure awaits where you and your chosen partners explore a post-apocalyptic world, face fierce battles against powerful enemies, and uncover an epic story that transcends time. That is extremely generic. Yeah. Wow. Imagine battles and adventure in your video game. Code Vein 2 comes to PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC on January 30th. Didn't I even mention vampires? Isn't it about anime vampire? Anyway.
I don't know. I'm not sure. Is it? Thank you very much, as always, for watching Inside Games, even though we don't know about Code Vein. We're very grateful to be able to put this show together for you. That's right. It means a lot that you share your time with us, so thank you very much for doing that. If you do it daily or if you do it once a week, we appreciate it.
We also have some special viewers that share even more than their time by supporting us directly via our Patreon. So we'd like to shout them out right now. So thank you very, very much, Zach DeHack, Shaky Pants, Jesse Russo, Rattlelog, and Splinkerton Foken Doggin for making sure Brian can enjoy his 40-year-old JRPGs. Really appreciate that. You'd be struggling otherwise, so it's a blessing.
You don't have to throw money at us to get something out of the Patreon. All our content is actually posted there for free with a hand-selected artisanal meme thanks to Lawrence Sontag.
It's a deep collection. It's been running since the 2000s when meme culture was a little less concerned about social issues, I'll say that. But regardless, have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time on Inside Games.